What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing well out there. Wanted to come out here this morning to have a little conversation with you guys and share with you what I was thinking about. This is going to be sort of a man-to-man talk. Now listen, before you say anything, I know a lot of you guys like the doomer style of videos. A lot of guys are struggling and they like negative content because they find it relatable. But my mindset is a lot more positive, so I want to help you guys out and pull you out of that area. So bear with me. I'm going to do my best to try to help you out. Now, when I was younger, I'll say about 18 or 19 years old, if we had a member of the group that had a negative attitude, we'd look at him and we'd say, yeah, somebody needs to get this guy laid. Now that's my friend Derek would always say, somebody needs to get this guy laid. And then my friend Brian would always chime in. He'd say, yep, if we got him laid, he'd be smiling from ear to ear. And it was just this little funny quip that they'd say, but it had a lot of truth to it. As men, we're just animals. It doesn't take much to keep us satisfied. And truth be told, based on everything that I'm seeing out there, there's a lot of guys out there that aren't experiencing the best side of female nature. They're not experiencing the good sides of female nature. They're only experiencing the bad sides. When I see guys discuss female nature, it's always negative. They're always getting the bad side. But truth be told, and this is something that the Chads, the Tyrones, the bottom shelf Brads, the Steve from Sales, the Pookies, the Ray Rays, all of these guys, you hear these terms. All of these guys will know what I'm talking about because they experience the good side of female nature. But the rest of guys, they don't get it. Only the good-looking guys, the smooth talkers, the guys with game, the guys with good physiques, the guys with money, these guys understand the good side of female nature, and they don't really deal with the bad side. So, what is it that these guys are doing that the rest of the guys out there are not doing? And I'll explain that to you. These guys know how to make a woman feel extra comfortable. A woman has to feel not just attracted to you, not just she sees you as a cool guy or a high sexual market value, a good catch. No, she has to feel comfortable expressing herself around you. Expressing herself verbally, expressing herself sexually, maybe intellectually. A lady has things that she does. Maybe she dances a certain way. Maybe she likes to sing. Maybe she does certain things in the bedroom. She has certain ways that she likes to express herself. And you may not view it as like what you consider sexy, but to her, that's how she feels sexy when she's doing certain things, when she's expressing herself a certain way. And women need a deep emotional connection, and they have to feel extra comfortable for that deep emotional connection to be brought out. Some guys get this, some guys don't. You ever walked into one of them barber shops? I'm talking about, like them sport barber shops where they hire the hot chicks and they play the football games. And after the haircut, the girls give you a little massage and stuff. You know what I'm talking about, one of them type joints. You ever notice when you walk into a place like that, those women in there are so confident, like they're saying things and they're doing things that they wouldn't normally do. You walk in and they're like, hey, handsome, you ready for a haircut? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, okay, well, just to let you know, it comes with a massage afterwards. And then one of the other girls is like, ooh, you better watch out. And she's like, don't worry, I won't manhandle you. And the other girl's like, yeah, you better watch out. She will, man. They're just like flirting with you, right? but they're in an environment, and I know this is their job to be this way there, but nonetheless, that's what creates the environment where they're comfortable being confident and expressing their femininity, expressing their femininity in a confident way. You know, they're able to be themselves and feel sexy, so they talk to you a certain way. Well, a lot of guys don't realize that you have the power to unlock that version of her in a relationship, on a date, you name it. Somewhere inside of her, that version exists. But it only exists when she's comfortable enough to be confident about, not just confident in life, but confident when it comes to providing something for a man, serving a man. You can see this with waitresses too. You know, when something is brought out of them and they're comfortable being confident like that. Okay, now I want to explain to you guys kind of how to do this. So let's create a scenario. Let's say you've met a woman. You know, maybe you're on a dating app or something, right? And you've set up a date with a lady. Well, everybody knows that you can set up a date. You know, maybe you set up a date on Monday for Friday night. And a lot of people will tell you, just set up the date, don't even talk to her, you know, just go on with the proceedings, and you'll see her on Friday. That's bullshit. Okay? If a woman doesn't feel a connection between Monday and Friday, she'll ghost. She'll leave you. If a woman doesn't feel a connection, she's pulling back, she's gone. And that's under just about every scenario. Right? It doesn't matter if you work with her, doesn't matter if you see her every day, if it's a girl you cold approach, met on a dating app, if she doesn't feel that connection, she's going to view you as a waste of time. So you need to be texting and calling if you're actually interested. But you have to do it in a certain kind of way. You know, if you don't do it in a certain kind of way, you'll just be lame. You'll look like a simp. We don't want you looking like a lame simp. You know, so here's what you got to do. Now, I'll give you an example based on, I don't like to get too much into my personal life, but let's say there was a gal not too long ago that I wanted to further things with. Now, we started out just texting, right? And it was just normal texting, a little bit of flirting, whatnot. And, you know, she seemed like she was very into me. You know, when you first start texting, it seems kind of hot. But after a little while, the communication started to dwindle. You know, we weren't speaking to each other as much as we used to. She wasn't as responsive and as flirtatious, as receptive, as cooperative. She seemed a bit more distant. And you all know what I'm talking about. You know, when this starts to take place, something you all go through. Now, when this starts to take place, a lot of guys go into panic mode, right? They think they've lost her. What do I do to get her back? They don't even know why they're losing her. You know, and other people online will tell them, oh, it's because she found someone better. It's not that she found someone better. It's that, you know, you can blame whatever you want to blame. You can look for whatever excuse you want to look for. But the truth is, she didn't feel the connection with you. And some other guy maybe she did feel a connection with. But again, this is the competitive nature of the universe. We can make excuses, or we can find out what we have to do to succeed. You know what you got to do to succeed? You got to make her ovaries tingle. You know, and you got to make her extra confident in order to make her ovaries tingle. So she's comfortable being herself, expressing herself sexually, expressing herself verbally, because something happened and made her not comfortable doing that. Now back to the girl that I was texting. I get sidetracked, you know what I'm saying? Now, she had pulled back a little bit. And one day I saw a unread message on, I think it was on Snapchat. Opened it up and saw she had deleted something. So I sent her a message and said, "What'd you send?" And she said, "I sent a picture." And I said, "Well, why'd you delete it?" And she responded with one word. She said, "Confidence." So I thought, well, next time, this is what I said back to her. I said, well, next time, just leave it on there, and I'll be your source of confidence. You know, some time went by, a few hours, and she sent another message. And it was a picture of her in bra and panties, thong, you know, back facing the mirror. You know, a nice little picture. So I told her I liked what I saw, gave her some compliments, you know, encouraged her to continue doing that. So she continued doing that. You know, and as time went on, she got to a point where she started to seem like she was intoxicated. Like she wanted to text nonstop, send pictures nonstop, you know, sending me pictures, telling me she wanted to kiss me, and joking around, saying, "I'm outside right now, can I come in?" Blah, blah, blah. You know, and as time goes on, eventually we get together. You know, I'm building up her confidence. I'm stimulating her hypergamy. You know, it doesn't matter if a woman's below you, above you, how much money you have, what you look like. You got to stimulate her hypergamy. You know, a lot of guys do this wrong. They want to make a woman feel like she's below him. You know, they think that's the way to, you know, get respect, and that'll turn a woman on. That ain't it. A woman wants to feel like you're lifting her up to your level. You know, like you're throwing her compliments, you're making her feel good, making her ovaries tingle, making her feel sexy, making her feel appreciated and wanted, making her want to open up to you. You know, that's the kind of guy she's always going to come back to. Because it takes a confident man, it actually takes a high-value man to see himself as such a high-value man that he can compliment her. You know, he can be her source of confidence. So she can follow his lead. He's confident. He's comfortable speaking to her a certain way and making her feel confident, so she keeps coming back for her dose of confidence. And when she kisses him, she feels confident. When she has sex with him, she feels confident. When the two of them go out and have a drink together, she feels confident. When she's having a bad day and he sends her a text message, she feels better. She feels confident. But you got to bring that out of her. Unfortunately, a lot of guys, what they do is they go in the opposite direction, and they think, you know, a lady's pulling back, or she's not giving him attention, or, you know, she appears to not be interested. So they want to create this this facade like, well, I'm too good for you anyways, you know, and they want to play this game of like pre-selection, right? Make her jealous, let her see him with other women. You know, a lot of the dating advice nowadays is like, take a picture next to a Ferrari, take a picture with bikini models, crush quarters with your butt muscles, you know, whatever. Like, they're telling you to do all this shit, and they think that that's going to be like what's going to impress women. No, women look for that connection. And by the way, there's guys that can do this that, you know, we're talking, there's guys with long hair that paint their fingernails. And I'm not talking about the pickup artist. I'm talking about regular dudes out there that are into shit like that. They're damn near feminine dudes. But they know how to bring this out of women, so women always come back to them. You know, there's buff dudes, muscle guys. You know, your typical attractive alpha male kind of guy that understands this. and he brings this out of her, and she always comes back to him. There's dudes fresh out of prison, ugly as hell, no potential to make any money, but they know how to bring this out of women, so they bring it out of them. Women can't resist them. You know, you can be on any level, anywhere, and if you know how to bring this out of a woman, you're not going to struggle. And I'll tell you what, there's a bad side of female nature, and that's a side that's ruthless. It'll break your heart, it'll cheat on you, it'll take all your shit, it'll ruin your reputation, you name it. There is a bad side, but there's a really good side too. And it exists when a woman's confident and comfortable being around you. And not just confident in any kind of way, she's confident serving you. She actually feels sexy when she serves you. You know, she gives you a back massage, it turns her on, it makes her ovaries tingle. And when you bring out that good side, that's when you're smiling from ear to ear. You know, like I said in the beginning, we're all just animals, right? We're men. We're men. What do we need in life? Got to have a couple of hobbies, things that keep us occupied, right? Maybe your hobbies are cars, the gym, hunting, fishing, sports, football, basketball, whatever, right? We have our hobbies, as long as we have those, and then we have some sort of purpose. Maybe it has to do with your career, maybe it has something to do with helping your community. You know, maybe it's a project that you're working on that really means a lot to you, but we have to have a purpose. And then number 3, we have to experience that good side of female nature. You know, when a woman is coming on to you and she's just giving you all the good stuff, you know, all she really needs is a hug and a compliment and a little bit of sex, a little bit of time spent. She's not trying to screw your life up. She's trying to fix hers. And this is masculine and feminine polarity. You're the one that can fix it. You're the one that can make her feel complete, you know what I mean? Now, every woman wakes up insecure. Why do you think makeup sells so much? Why do you think they all put filters on their pictures? You ever had a girl like you and she sees you talking to some other girl? And you see her face just completely sad, just completely changes. She's discouraged, she just like grabs her purse and walks out and goes home crying. You know, you have the ability to change that around, but you got to assume your role. You got to assume the masculine role. A lot of these guys, when they discuss the negative side of female nature, they're assuming the feminine role. They want a woman to bring out the confidence in them. You know, you're on a dating app or you're cold approaching, and every time you get a yes, she brings the confidence out in you. That ain't it. Unfortunately, that's the root of all simping. You know, you need a woman to make you complete. If you got masculine polarity, you understand masculine and feminine polarity, you'll understand that you have to be her source. So when you cold approach a woman, or when you send a message on a dating app, keep the mindset. Understand that you're not here because, you know, you just have you're incomplete. You need her to give you the goods so you can be complete. That makes you look thirsty, makes you look like a simp. But if you're there because you know damn well that she's a female, and you can lift her up and you can make her feel extra comfortable, make her feel sexy, make her feel like she can express herself around you. When you approach her with that mindset, she's going to view you as somebody like, wow, this guy gets it. This guy's different than the others. He makes her ovaries tingle. You know, and you can't, there's no way around it. You can't, like, there is no workaround, guys. You either bring this out of her or you don't. Every day, if you go on Tinder, you go on any dating app, you're finding plenty of housewives. And what do they have to say? They say their husband just doesn't give them what they need anymore. And they don't want to leave him, but they have needs. Now, what's this mean? She doesn't want to leave him, so she doesn't want to leave the house. She doesn't want to divorce him. She doesn't want to break the family up. What are these needs? I mean, that answers all the questions. She needs a man that makes her feel extra comfortable, makes her feel confident. She wants to literally come over to give you a BJ and, just have 30 minutes of sex and leave. But she wants it to be from a man that'll look at her and say, yeah, you look sexy. Here's what I want you to wear. Or you can, matter of fact, whatever you feel sexy in, put it on and come over. He compliments her, makes her feel good, and she feels validated, like she's getting it from a true alpha. And her husband just doesn't care to do that anymore, right? And I'm not suggesting that you hook up with a married woman. I'm just telling you that's the missing piece. And single women out there have that same missing piece. You just can't see it because you put them on a pedestal. You're intimidated by them. But truthfully, when they're out there going to the bars, having the drinks, hooking up with the Chads and the Tyrones, they're looking for a guy that can bring that out of them. And when he does, they're going to get hooked. And when a woman gets hooked, it's difficult to lose her. The biggest problem that you have when you get a woman hooked like that is she don't want to leave. Every time you open your phone, you got a message from her. She just wants to talk to you nonstop. Now, maybe some guys aren't ready for that. And that's you. And so be it. But if you're a guy that wants to experience the good sides of female nature, you got to get in a habit of assuming that role. The man. You have to be so confident with yourself that she can follow your lead, because women are always watching your behaviors. If she thinks you're too insecure to say it, or you're playing some pickup artist game, something's fake or inauthentic about you, guess what? She's going to follow that lead. She's going to come off as fake. She's going to come off as insecure. You look bored, she's going to look bored. You name it, she'll match your energy. So as men, we don't match women's energy. We create it. We create her energy and her mood. They become addicted. And again, you get to be the man of the house, the man of the relationship. Everything else is simping. Or it's not playing the game at all. And if you're a guy that doesn't want to play the game at all, you're probably not watching this far. But for all of you guys with big goals and high hopes, you did watch this far. So salute to you, and I hope this video was somewhat informative. And that's about it for today, guys. Until next time, see ya.